and welcome to Best Laid Plans. This is your host, Sarah Hart-Unger, and this is a podcast where we talk all things planning and planning adjacent. Today, I have a treat for you because it is time to start thinking a little bit about reflection season and celebration season, and that includes planning the holidays. So this episode is for you. You know, it's November, already ready to blast some holiday tunes. You've got Mariah Carey going already. You're thinking about what movies you want to watch. And yes, we know that most of those celebrations aren't going to take place for a little while. And of course, I want to acknowledge that everyone has different celebrations. You may be celebrating Christmas. You may be celebrating Hanukkah. You may be celebrating any number of things. And so no matter what your traditions are, this can be a celebratory month for you. And I don't want this discussion to be specific to anyone's traditions. In fact, we talk all about Christmas, and that isn't even a holiday I celebrate in the religious sense, although I do enjoy a lot of kind of traditional holiday trappings and events and like watching Elf and things like that. Anyway, so this conversation is going to be a fun treat as I chat with Jen Ludwig, who is an expert on planning Christmas and all things holiday. And she talks about some of her favorite ways to ensure that she really gets to experience things within the month of December that bring her joy and that are important to her without experiencing the undue stress of trying to cram in too many things. And I think really the takeaway here is that we want to prepare and leave enough space so that when we're having these enjoyable things, they don't feel like chores, they don't feel like burdens, they mostly feel just like things we are excited to participate in and just make the most out of. So in that spirit, I hope you enjoy this conversation with Jen. Well, I am so excited to welcome Jen Ludwig to the show. She is an author, but even more importantly for this episode, she is a holiday planning enthusiast. And she emailed me months ago because people who really love the holidays don't just start thinking about the holidays in November. They are thinking about the holidays many months before that. And I think we're going to learn from Jen that a lot of what she does has to do with proactively planning the holidays. So I will go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Tell us where you are in life, but also how did you get so into planning the holiday season?
Absolutely. So my name is Jen Ludwig. I'm a writer. I'm also a worship leader, and I've always loved the holiday season. For the last couple of decades, I've spent time writing about the Advent season, singing Christmas songs, and talking about holiday planning with anyone who will listen, particularly when my kids were really young is when I started feeling the real rush of the holiday season. And when I say rush, I mean like the crazy, busy, chaotic rush where it comes and goes and our heads are spinning. So I'm really passionate about not getting caught up in the stress and the chaos and the commercialism that tend to invade the holidays. So this really focused me to focus on the season of Advent, which on the Christian church calendar is the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas. Because for years, I just felt like as soon as Thanksgiving dinner was cleaned up and it was Black Friday, I've likened it to being thrown into a river, caught up in the current and like flailing. And then suddenly I'm spit out on shore on December 26th going, what happened? So it's like, what happened to all the hope and the peace and the joy and the love that are supposed to be part of this time of year? So Advent is a season of preparation. That's what it's meant for. So today we're going to talk about some prepping we can do now to get our calendars set up with enough space to really be present during the holidays.
So that we're not doing a lot of that kind of work stuff while we're wanting to be celebrating and enjoying.
Yes, absolutely.
And I do want to say this episode is for everyone, no matter what holiday you celebrate. If you celebrate anything, or even if you just celebrate New Year's and it's just a big lead up to that time off of work and that break in the season and that celebratory reflective feeling, I think this will apply. We're obviously going to talk about some traditions that are significant for Jen. I myself might have my own traditions and you may have yours, but I think there's something in here for everyone. And I'm actually interested in learning a little bit more about Advent because I can see the absolute appeal of having a holiday that has a formal lead up. We could probably use more holidays like that, honestly.
Yeah. It's true. Like one of the things I love about like this idea of a liturgical calendar is it's seasons of planning and then celebration and then planning and then celebration. But what you said is absolutely true. I feel like universally, December is just a little crazy. You have year-end deadlines. You have stuff going on in the schools. You have office parties. You have, just like I said, all the things that are dinners and parties and planning that happen at that month. And they all seem to get crammed into just a few weeks.
Yes. So when do you start? Talk about your preparation method. And I'm interested, like, actually, I'm curious where you are, like, with your ages of, if you have kids and how
Oh,
old they
yes,
are, like,
yes.
where you are in your holiday celebratory season, I
Yep,
guess. And then
yep.
also, I want to know, how early do you start? Like, when does this
Yeah,
begin for you?
absolutely. So, first of all, again, your question where I'm at. My little children are now grown children. Both of them are in college. So they are
Oh,
19 and 21. This would be a totally separate podcast episode about the season of parenting adult children who are technically over the age of 18, but still very much part of the family day to day, even while they are away at college. And yeah, that's actually a huge part of our just regular planning, like my normal calendar. I'm a huge fan of all the Apple products because they're shared. One of my kids right now is in Copenhagen, and my other kid is in college locally, but used to be up in Oregon. And so I just am constantly juggling like communication with them when they're not in my home, and sort of like how much to be part of their calendar planning and have input into their lives, and how much of it is just invitation into our lives. So we are learning how to be empty nesters. We are learning how to be the parents of adult kids. So yes, that is the season I'm at right now. And as far as the planning, you are correct. I contacted you months ago. I will be completely honest. I start my Christmas shopping in the summer as soon as I start seeing things. But as far as really planning, I tend to, right about now, the month of November, early November, start to think about what I want December to look like. And wanted to speak to you a little bit about that today, invite your audience into that, because what I have found as the most beneficial calendaring practice for me is a brain dump. And so I'm just going to walk through what that looks like for me. It's something I have shared with friends, and it has become really helpful. Several years ago, I started doing this, and it's just my number one planning strategy to have a more focused and relaxed December. So it all begins with a pen and paper. And I will tell anyone who's listening, if they actually want to pause and grab a pen and grab a piece of paper, feel free to do that in this moment. Pause, go get your pen and paper, come back. And then I'd like you to take 5 or 10 minutes to write on a piece of paper every single thing you think you are going to do in the month of December. Every single thing you would like to do in the month of December, and every single thing other people are expecting you to do in the month of December.
let's repeat that just in case anyone. I hope people do have their pen
Yes.
and paper right now. This is fantastic. Okay. So everything you think you're going to do,
Yep.
everything you would like to do, and everything
And
that other people would like you all to do.
absolutely. Start throwing it down. It can be a list. I personally like kind of the aesthetic process of just throwing it all over the paper and just writing it on a blank sheet of paper. This can be anything from baking to teacher gifts that you'd like to maybe craft or make, going to see neighborhood holiday lights. Maybe there's a favorite movie you like to watch at this time of year, but it should also have things like dinners and parties and family commitments that come at this time of year. So, again, I'm going to say pause, take 5 or 10 minutes to write that down. But I'm going to continue on to say, after that is done, particularly, I think if you are a parent, you will be amazed that all of the things you have written down on that piece of paper. And I'm telling you now, you cannot do it all. It is not possible to do all of the things. So now what we need to do is we need to circle the things that are most important to you and your family. These are the things you would be really disappointed to miss. And if you need to, you can circle 4. But these are just, again, something that might be important to you, like attending a religious service, or A highlight for your family might be watching Die Hard every year. But it's the things that your kids would be really sad to miss. For example, in our family, Christmas morning, we always have monkey bread. If I did not make monkey bread, we would have some really disappointed people in my house. So these are the things that are meaningful to you. These are the things that make your holiday time special. And you want to make sure to prioritize them. So we're circling those right now. And then the next thing we're going to do, and you can get a big old red pen for this if you have it, is we're going to cross off at least 3 things that you are going to let go of this year. And this can be harder. These may be things actually you haven't wanted to do maybe for a couple of years. They may be things that you're just finding are no longer suiting and serving your family in the season they're in. I'm a big tradition person. I love traditions, hence the monkey bread. But sometimes we carry on traditions a little too long. I was doing things when my kids were teenagers that we had been doing since they were little. And I was like, oh, they've outgrown this. Yet I keep doing it for my own sake, maybe. So this is a chance also to just think about the things that aren't practical anymore for your growing or aging families. And this is also a time that can be difficult because maybe you are crossing off things that affect someone other than you. So it may affect the friend group that you're in, or it may affect your family, extended family, if you're choosing to maybe cross a few things off the list. But now that you have your piece of paper with all the things that we cannot possibly do, and you've circled and highlighted the most important things, and you've crossed off the things you're definitely going to let go, it's time to actually get out the calendar. And it is time to say yes and make space for things. So look at those things you've circled and decide when you're going to do them.
I love it.
If you want to take a walk to see the Christmas lights in your neighborhood, the holiday lights, then you need to pick a date and put it on a calendar. You're going to do that on a Friday evening with your kids. If you want to do a service project with your family, then now's the time to figure out what that project is going to be. If you want to invite friends over for cocktails or kids over to make gingerbread houses, now is the time to pick the Saturday afternoon or evening when you're going to do it. Because if you don't do that now, you're not going to find space for it later. There are so many wonderful things that you can put on the calendar, but this is the time to actually schedule those things that you have decided are important to you.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to talk a little bit about this calendaring. And I'm also curious because I feel like I'm greedy and I want more than 4 things. So we're going to get to that in just a minute. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Green Chef. One of my favorite things about the fall season is the food. Warm, homey flavors just make everything feel comforting. Plus, with the new seasonal energy, it's the perfect time to reset and bring healthy habits back into focus. Green Chef can help you do that even if your season is chock full of school festivities and events. Green Chef's meals are made up of real, clean ingredients, and they help you build lasting healthy habits without the hassle. In addition to the balanced and delicious dinners we love, they have salads ready in just 5 minutes, protein-rich breakfasts, and nutrient-rich smoothies to fuel your day. The recipes change every week, and with week-to-week flexibility, you can adjust your plan to match your mood and your schedule. They really are family-friendly too. My kids are always so excited for our Green Chef dinners. Make this fall your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50bestlaid and use code 50bestlaid to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50bestlaid at greenchef.com/50bestlaid. Today's episode is sponsored in part by Organize 365. As we approach the close of another year, I want to take a moment to honor you, the leader of your household, the cornerstone of your family, the multitasker, the caregiver, the friend, the professional, and the dreamer. You wear countless hats, and with every role you carry an invisible load. These tasks, decisions, and emotional labor sometimes even go by unseen by you, but they are never unfelt. This is the work that powers our lives. It's the unseen effort that keeps everything running, often at the cost of our own peace of mind or goals. But what if this invisible work didn't have to stay invisible? What if you could bring it to light, streamline it, and reclaim the energy it takes? The Sunday Basket is a natural partner for your weekly planning routine. The Sunday Basket contains and corrals all your ideas, paper notes, to-do lists, and mail safely until you are ready for your weekly planning time. Let this be the year you free your mind, lighten your load, and make your goals a reality. Together, let's make the invisible work visible. Visit organize365.com/SundayBasket to buy the Sunday Basket today. That's organize365.com/SundayBasket. Today's episode is brought to you with support from Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no confusion. That's why you should say yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 per month. With Mint Mobile, you're getting the same services as any other provider, but at a fraction of the cost. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. If you're not ready to make the switch yourself, Mint Mobile can be a great option for teens or tweens getting their first device. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/BLP. That's mintmobile.com/BLP. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, we are back and we are talking about prioritizing with our brain dump. And I'm not going to lie, when you said 3 or 4 things, and I'm not even like, I don't even officially celebrate Christmas, but they're holiday related traditions, whether it's Hanukkah, whether it's end of year, whether it's whatever. And in our family, there are definitely more than 4 of them. But I can imagine that maybe 4 of them get scheduled and then the rest of them, it's like a menu of options if they fit kind of a thing. How do you advise people when they just find that number to be kind of low?
A little bit underwhelming. I was going to say overwhelming. I think there is something really important about recognizing what's most important to you and getting those things on the calendar. It's not that we cannot do these other things. It's making sure that you have really considered the most important and that those don't get lost in the shuffle. Because I think that's really where the disappointment sets in. And that's why also at this time, I'm going to say also think about your no's, because you need to be ready to say no, thank you to the cookie exchange. You need to say, no, I'm sorry, I cannot bring something to the potluck. Or even more difficult, maybe I cannot make the family event. And this is more of where the season I'm starting to see my friends move into is as our adult children are getting married, it's getting even more complicated. And there are even more things to add to the calendar. Or if you have a newly blended family, these are things where there's just so many things on the calendar. And so thinking about your no's now and setting your expectations now so it can be like, I know we have always had a maybe day after Thanksgiving dinner, but I am finding that I can't do more than one Thanksgiving this year. So could we plan a February dinner? Could we move that out and celebrate our love for one another around Valentine's Day? It's taking the time now to be thoughtful about that, because I really found also that real disappointment comes from poor expectations. And the sooner you can set those expectations, the happier everyone will be during the December season, right? So, yeah, when we're talking about that short list of 3 or 4 things, those are the things that you just want to make sure don't get lost in the shuffle because they are the most important things. And for that to happen, you need to maybe make some choices about some things that you are going to say definitely will not happen. And then you have a little breathing space. And that's when you be able to add some of those other things that are also important to you.
But maybe less labor intensive.
Maybe less labor intensive, maybe just can be moved. Maybe don't have to happen in December. We talked about this with holiday parties with friend groups is like, why do we all have to do it in December? Like, why is this? I mean,
it's not fair to January either, because January and February deserve some fun too. We don't want to use it all up.
Correct. But like, there is something about like, I don't know, there's like the festivity of the season and everybody's excited. And so that's when they want to do it. But not all of those things have to happen in December. But if we don't think about it, if we don't think about, especially along the lines of those traditions that kind of sometimes become traditions just for tradition's sake, we don't think about like why we're doing it then or why we have this certain invite list. Maybe we have, could we open it up? Could we combine two things? Or are there things we just need to let go of? But I do want to say here, being cautious not to add too many things because there needs to be margin. You never know who might get sick at the last minute. And now you're either caring for a sick kid or maybe trying to bring soup to a friend. You said earlier that you have like pre-tween kids, right? When they come home and say, "Oh, mom, I forgot. I volunteered you to bake cookies for tomorrow." You have the bandwidth to do that without crying in the kitchen at midnight, you know?
I have the bandwidth to order crumble with my phone, but
perfect. But you know what I mean? It's like you need to make sure to have a little bit of margin in there. And I just find that this exercise helps you to realize how much you're trying to do and gives you a chance to prioritize. But I do feel like as soon as you do it, that is the time to say, okay, these things I'm going to pick and I'm going to put on the calendar. And these things I'm going to say no to and maybe say no now before it comes up.
And I think viewing that calendar and actually like, you do your dump, you have your list, you have your priorities, but then actually looking at that December calendar and the actual squares there, because I think a lot of us kind of, including me, think of December as like, well, I don't work in December. Of course I work in December. I work up until, the holiday season starts. And I do often get a wonderful 2 weeks. I often take off with the kids, one around Christmas week, one around New Year's week, and that's awesome. But other than that, I mean, Monday through Friday is mostly taken up by work. So you have this limited number of weekends and days off, and you're right with the end of year deadlines. I happen to have a book launch this year. It's like we can't pretend that all we're going to be doing is sitting back and fitting in rituals. Because I guess if we had the whole month off, then maybe this might be more realistic, but our kids are taking finals.
Well, or your kids are home. I was thinking about what you said at the beginning of the podcast about just the end of year. And it is both a joy and a bit of chaos when your young children suddenly have 2 to 3 weeks off.
Yes.
That impacts your normal daily schedule and your rhythms.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about, if we're going to try to get ahead of it now, other than making our lists and calendaring, what kinds of proactive things do you recommend? And I think one of the things you might want to touch on is your gift buying system.
Yes. I do have a few tips for what I consider less stress, more thoughtful gifts. I'm going to give 3 ideas that have just helped me out over the years to have a little less stress when December comes and to feel like I'm giving something thoughtful to my friends and family. The first that has become a tradition for our family is we choose one gift that every family gets that we tie to a donation as well. So on Christmas Day, we usually have like 30 plus people that gather, and it's probably like 6 family units. And this is the place where we give that same gift to every family. So an example of this was like one year we gave every family a water pitcher for the kitchen table, but also made a donation to build water wells in Africa. We one year gave everyone casserole dishes, which were fantastic. And I bought at Costco and made a donation for a food kitchen. So what I really love about this is it's supporting something special or meaningful to you or your family in the donation part, but you're also giving somebody something that's practical and that kind of reminds them of that gift. You have to spend some time being thoughtful about what your theme for the year is. But once you've put that thought and time in, you are one and done. Like you buy 4 or 6 or 12 of something, and you have put in your thought time and your purchasing time. And it's also become really fun when we kind of reveal what our gift is every year. And it's kind of a neat tie or bond. I think it's something you could also do with a group of friends. It's something you could do at the office, but it's just a really nice way to not be racking your brain. Like for me, I just don't love the feeling of like, what can I buy them just to put something in a box? Like, just to have something to hand them.
It's seriously so beautiful. And I love the idea that, like, yes, they're getting something tangible, but it's like an acknowledgement that, like, many of us are in families where there isn't truly a need for more stuff. And so you're giving
Correct.
with that a gift to others who are in need of support. And
Yeah.
what a beautiful pairing. I absolutely love that.
And by the way, we did tie last year's gift. It doesn't have to be something like more stuff to give them. I love perishables. Last year's gift was tied to honey. And my daughter's college has like a honey farm. And so we gave everyone like jars of honey from the farm that the college students cultivate. So that is one thought along the same lines of kind of like those special gifts and that we don't need a lot of stuff is the encouragement to give the gift of time. And we don't think about this very often, but kind of along the same lines as we were saying, you know, those parties don't have to be in December. The gifts that we give don't have to be for December either. My daughter's birthday is January 6th. That is a really hard time to receive gifts because you just received a lot of gifts. So every year, my in laws, her grandparents, give her a calendar with a date circled in July for something they're going to take her to go and do. Now, when she was a little kid, it used to be like Build-A-Bear, or she was a big fan of American Girl Cafe. But as she's gotten older, they've taken her to the theater, or this last year it was wine tasting. It's just, I think the invaluable gift that doesn't come in a box is this gift of like spending time with the people you love. And whether that is a coffee date or a later restaurant date or doing a double date with your husband, with friends, these are gifts that you can give in December that don't take away from your time in December. And again, spread the fun into the new year, right?
Not to mention the gift of anticipation you've given them. Because that's
I love
like
that.
makes it even more fun. Yeah. 6 months of
Yes.
thinking about this fun thing in addition to getting to do it. I absolutely love it.
And spreading out the joy. And along those lines, the gift of your talents is something to really consider. It might look like gifting somebody lessons if, say, you're a musician or you have a skill. One year, my sister-in-law gifted some of her niece and nephews sewing lessons and like taught them how to make some things. You know, Aunt Edna could give piano lessons to like their niece or nephew. But it's just really special because, again, it's relationship building in that time they'll spend together later. And those things are actually really expensive, right? Like, you know how to surf, or you know how to woodwork, or you know how to do one of a million things that one of your, particularly, I love this for kids or nieces or nephews, like having that intergenerational, like passing on of skills and spending time together. I just think that is truly like a blessing that you can give to someone is the gift of time and the gift of your talent. I think it's one of the most precious gifts that we can give and is both time saving and money saving in the month of December. So that is tip number 2.
I absolutely love that.
My third quick tip is making packaging part of the gift. So I think there are a lot of ways to creatively package gifts. I love beautiful gift wrapping. I will admit that first. Like when I'm gift wrapping my family gifts, because we do give gifts in boxes, my kids want clothes, my kids want electronics and all those things. I am not saying we don't give gifts. Let me just be clear. And I love wrapping those things beautifully. But there are also like great ways to efficiently, and again, that kind of one and done thought process, wrap things. For example, the year we did the casserole dishes, I bought those Trader Joe's reusable bags. And like everybody's came in the Trader Joe's bag, right? It's like quick, easy way to like wrap things up. If you're giving somebody like pajamas or slippers, like silk pillowcases, like perfect. Put a bow on it. You're giving like a 2-in-1 gift. Again, my wonderful sister-in-law who sews, I do not, she will make little tote bags for the gifts that are like reusable for later. But you know what? I can buy those things at Target and Michael's, like a pack of bags or bags out of the dollar bin or whatever creative way, or what am I looking for? The word, like, I want to say utensil, but
Vessel, vehicle, I don't know.
Vessel. Yes, vessel was the word I'm looking for. I'm like, utensil is not it. Whatever vessel can also be like part of the gift, and it can be helpful. And again, you can buy multiple, and it's memorable and it's fun. And just another way that I like to kind of keep the gift giving special and a little more stress free.
I love it. You are making me very excited to just like start thinking about all of this now. And this episode does air in very early November, so it is perfect. So any other fun one-off tools to make the holiday season planning feel even more festive? I will throw a shout out to one of my planning by season participants was looking for a 5-year Christmas planning journal, or like a multi-year, and then found a vintage one from the 80s. It was so awesome. I mean, it had like bows everywhere. But apparently, like, this is not an item that there are Christmas planning journals and holiday planning journals, but not ones where you can list your stuff from year after year. And I think that's a gap in the market, because how fun is it to be able to like look back and see multiple years traditions captured, or be able to see what you did as the kids got older, something like that.
And you know what? Along those lines, this is like universal planning tip, but I just came back from a weekend away with friends. We do this trip. There were 26 of us this year. Every fall, it is my husband's college roommates and families. So over 20 years ago, it was like 4 or 5 couples who would go camping or stay at a cheap hotel. Now it's us with all of our kids in this huge house that we rent. We do it once a year. And one of the things we were just talking about is not reinventing the wheel. Like, sometimes in our effort to make things special, we think it has to be new or unique. And it's like, no, do what works. And people do love tradition. People do love, if you have the same appetizer every year, or you make the monkey bread every morning, I would just say, like, not reinventing the wheel. Like, I feel like social media and Pinterest can make us feel like there's always the new trend. Like, if I'm not doing the hot chocolate bombs this year, I'm not a good mom, or whatever it is. And not to get caught up in that or feel like we have to relearn or redo things. But it's interesting you mentioned that journal, because then you look back and just be like, what did we do? Like, what did we do that works? Right. And what did we do that was fun, and learn from that? I think that is a great tip. For me personally, my daily habit throughout the year, but particularly in the month of December, is to spend 15 minutes in the morning, hot cup of coffee, cozy chair. For me, it is a time of prayer, but is it a time to recenter and remember like what this season is about? I do not want to get caught up again in that river of craziness and just be going through the motions and forgetting, like, not being present, not really celebrating, not really enjoying what each day brings. And that is why I wrote the book, Embracing Advent. It's actually a devotional book, but just to give people a way to spend a few minutes every morning refocusing on the hope, peace, joy, and love of the season. So that is one of my practices. It is my hope that those that are listening will have hopeful, peaceful, joyful Decembers this year. And yeah, I just am so happy that you had me on and let me have the opportunity to chat about some of my favorite things.
I love it. And we'll put a link to your book in the show notes, of course.
Oh,
and
thanks.
Tell our listeners where they can find you, in addition to your book, of course.
Yes. My name is Jen Ludwig. So I am at Jen Ludwig Writes on both Instagram and Facebook. I am on Substack also on Jen Ludwig Writes. And I have a website, www.jenludwig.com. And you can find the book on Amazon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, this was so much fun. And by the way, I feel like I have to add a totally unrelated side note after that wonderful discussion. Maybe it is related because it was a gift to myself that I ordered for myself in September. Yes, my Hobonichi has arrived. You guys, after many, many weeks of sitting in various customs warehouses and one kind of weird form that I had to fill out, my Hobonichi Hobonichis, and all of the accessories that I ordered with it have made it to my doorstep, and I could not be happier. I've been having fun, testing out the new paper, playing with the pens I've ordered, diving into the stickers, etc. And I'll share more about what I plan to use next year, as well as some of my favorites from what I ordered in a future episode. But in case anyone was losing sleep over the whereabouts of my package, it has safely made it to South Florida, all the way from Japan, through Alaska, through Indianapolis, through Memphis, through Indianapolis again, I think, and now back to my house. All right, thank you so much for listening. I'll be back in your feed next week with more planning fun. In the meantime, enjoy this start to your holiday reflection and celebration season.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.